In this segment, I want to talk to you about diagnostic testing and health screens. Diagnostic blood work is a very important part of the general health care and overall health of your pet. We do recommend diagnostic blood work and wellness panels once a year, and those can be done at your annual wellness visit with us. We also recommend doing blood screening before any anesthetic procedure, so we know exactly what anesthetic protocol we can use for your pet during surgery. Now, the wellness panels, that we call them, are made up of several diagnostic tests that we all run here in-house, and we'll go show you the lab later. But let's talk about the wellness panels or the wellness plans that we recommend. It's all based on this chart. This chart shows your pet's age as well as their weight category. And with this, we can determine what tests your pet needs for their stage of life. Now, the orange blocks, these are our young adult to adult pets. So if your pet by age and weight falls into this orange category, dogs or cats, then we recommend these tests. The first one is the chemistry panel. That one tests all the organ functions. That's going to test the kidney function, the liver function, the pancreas function, blood sugar, electrolytes, total proteins, all the organ function within the body. The complete blood count, or the CBC, that checks the level of the white blood cells, are the cells of the body that fight infection. The red blood cells are the cells that carry oxygen and iron throughout the body, and the platelets, which tell the blood when to clot and when not to clot. The fecal analysis, that's going to check for any internal intestinal parasites and Giardia. The infectious disease testing. For dogs, that includes the heartworm test. That test we do run once a year to check for exposure of heartworm disease. Even if your pet is on heartworm protection, we still recommend this test once a year just to make sure there's been no exposure. For cats, this test would be a feline leukemia test, and that test generally only needs to be a once-in-a-lifetime test as long as your cat has been vaccinated properly for feline leukemia and there's no exposure to outdoor cats or indoor-outdoor cats. If that's new to your cat and your cat recently has gone outdoors, or you have a new cat coming into your household, that's when we're going to recommend the feline leukemia test for your cat. The urinalysis. That's going to check the urine for any presence of bacteria, any white blood cells or red blood cells within the urine. Those can be signs of urinary infections. It's also going to test for urinary crystals or any sugar or glucose in the urine, which could be an early sign of diabetes. If your pet falls into this blue category of age and weight, dogs or cats, we fondly call these guys our seniors. Seniors have these, the same tests as the adults, but we do add on a thyroid test to our senior pets. We do monitor thyroid in dogs and cats, as our senior dogs can have a problem with a low functioning thyroid, whereas senior cats can have a problem with high functioning thyroid. The blood pressure is on here. We don't always run blood pressure because generally some pets run high blood pressure just from the excitement of it being at the vet shop. So we'll only do blood pressure on an individual basis if we think we need it or not. Now these gray pets, we fondly call these guys our super seniors. So if you are lucky enough to have a super senior pet, it's all of the exact same tests as the seniors and the adults. This does include an electrocardiogram to test heart function. The electrocardiogram we don't always do, that's on an individual basis, but if we have reason to believe the heart is not functioning the way it should in your super seniors, we will recommend that test as well. So these are the wellness panels. These wellness panels we do recommend once a year for our dogs and cats. Now, The great part about wellness panels too is it provides a nice baseline of general health for your pet. If we run these tests once a year and we determine that something has changed from year to year, then that's awesome. That's early detection of a problem in your pet. Early detection of a health problem means early treatment, and early treatment of any health problems means lifelong health for your pets. If your pet is on a lifelong medication, be that for arthritis, allergies, seizure medication, thyroid medication, a heart, liver, kidney medication, any long-term medication, we are going to recommend blood testing specifically for those medications at the 6-month interval. So the wellness panel once a year and specific blood testing for your pet's medication at the 6-month intervals. Now I get it. There's a lot of people that say 6 months is a really short span of time. Like, I was just here, we just did this. I get that and I respect that. But we also need to realize that 6 months for us seems like it was just yesterday, right? But for dogs and cats, they age faster than we do. So 6 months to us is like 3 to 4 years for them. And 3 to 4 years is a long time to check and see. Sometimes we pick up that we need to adjust the dose of a medication because in 3 to 4 years, a pet's metabolism changes pretty drastically. So sometimes we have to change a drug dose. Sometimes we find out that that medication can cause secondary side effects to the liver or the kidneys. So we do recommend and sometimes require every 6-month blood testing if your pet is on a long-term medication, and that is only for the health and well-being of your pet. We do about 95% of all of our diagnostic testing here in-house in our lab. So let's go see the lab. Welcome to the Living Springs lab. This is what happens behind the scenes, and this whole wall is full of all of our lab equipment. So I want to show you what everything does so you know what we can do for your pets here in the hospital. This is the machine that runs the complete blood counts, or the CBCs. So this machine runs those white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. This little guy is the workhorse. This one runs those panels for all the organ screens. Not only does it run the organ screens, it also runs our thyroid tests here in-house. We can run free T4s or thyroids. This also runs our phenobarbital panels. This also runs all those liver health checks. So your kiddos that need their livers checked every 6 months because they're on anti-inflammatories, this little guy does that machine. Okay, cruising down the lab. This runs those urinalysis. This is a urine sediment analyzer. This machine is going to tell us if there is any of those white blood cells, red blood cells, bacteria, or crystals in your pet's urine. Obviously, we have the ever important microscope. And then this computer and this cute little machine back here that you can barely see, this is another part of the urine analysis system. This computer is what reads out all the information from the urine sediment analyzer and the urine machine. This little guy is our imagist. We fondly named this Stanley. This guy is absolutely amazing. So this machine is going to run our fecal tests, our Giardia tests. It also can run fecal analysis for parasites on horses. And it runs all of our diagnostic pathologies. What's that mean? That means if your dog has a lump or a bump that we take cells from, called a needle aspirate, we'll take that microscope slide that has a few cells from a lump or a bump or a mass, put it on here, run Stanley, and this machine is hooked up 24/7. Within 2 hours, we will get a board-certified pathologist that will tell us exactly what that lump or bump is in your pet. That is super cool. So within 2 hours, we can tell you if that lump or a bump is something to not be super concerned about, or if it's something kind of big and scary, like some kind of tumors. In addition, Stanley also runs our ear cytologies for any of that ear debris, and it could do skin cytology. So if we have a skin scraping for something weird going on in the skin, this little workhorse can do all of that work, and in 2 hours, we can tell you what's going on with your pet without having to send things off to an outside lab and wait days to weeks for answers. Now that I've introduced you to Stanley and all of his friends in our lab here at Living Springs, let's go ahead and run some blood work, and I'll show you how some of these machines work. The first thing after we get blood from your pet is we centrifuge it. So I have blood in here that has already been spun and centrifuged down. And when we talk about needing to fast your pets for their blood work, that is because we are testing this nice clear part after the blood has all been spun. Lab safety comes first, so I am going to don some PPE. Because we are dealing with blood products, and some diseases can be transmitted from animals to humans. Those are called zoonotic diseases. So I want to make sure that I am safe when we're running all of these blood tests, okay? So we are going to run a CBC and a chemistry on some blood that we have here. CBCs run off of our purple tops. This has been spinning on the rocker. So your animal will come up in our work list. Right here we have the pet I'm working on. His name is Zip Train, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it to run this test for me. And this is Zip Train. Let's go ahead and we make sure that is right. Hit run. It is going to tell us to invert our tube to mix it well. And then we put this tube right there, hit run. It's going to suck up that blood, and off it goes. So now that machine is running the CBC. While that's running, let's go over here to the chemistry analyzer. This machine, as I said, runs all kinds of different tests. All of the tests are on these little rotors. Very careful not to touch any of the barcodes. The barcodes are actually what tells the machine what test to run. We need a little pipette tip. Clean pipette tip for each test that we run. And this machine runs off the little green top that we just spun down. So we are going to suck up a little bit of blood. There's a little well right here, and we put this right in that well. That is exactly the amount of sample that we need. So now this rotor is ready to run. We're going to look up our pending orders. There's Zip Train. We want to check that one. We are going to confirm that that's the test we want to run. Close that. And we're off to the races. So that is how we run these samples for your pets at Living Springs.